Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome
Perfect. No, that's just it. You definitely have to leave that in.
I meant to say, everyone, please welcome Jeremy to the channel, the host of
Welcome
Red
to
Means
the channel
Recording.
to Jeremy.
Yeah, welcome the channel to Jeremy. They're happening to you now.
Yes.
Jeremy can see you in real time. All right, perfect intro to a podcast,
I think that's great.
interview, conversation between friends thing. Really, I'm just tricking you into talking to me because I missed you. It's been like 2 weeks since the convention, and I'm just going to rope people back in.
You were one of the few people that I got to actually hang out with there. It's definitely difficult to wrangle people in that situation.
Yeah, because you were just a guest of honor at Furry Week in Atlanta.
I was, and it was mostly cool. It's like, I mean, if anybody here is like...
For now, you get to say that you're guest of honor of the biggest furry convention in history.
Is it currently has the most? Okay.
It set the new record for population. That happens that does happen 3 times a year, but yeah.
That'll be the channel. If I make a video about it, that will definitely be the title, you know, like that it's hard to just say anything more than that.
It'll at least always be true at the time that it happened. It will have been the biggest furry convention.
17,500 or so. Like, was it that this year? We thought they were going to hit something. People thought they were going to hit 20.
Biggest FurCon wiki. There's like a competing. Yes, Furry Atlanta, 17,736 people. Setting the record over Anthrocon last year with 17,639. And
by not much. Okay.
No, not by that much. Anthrocon has the most space out of any furry convention for this stuff because it's just an actual convention center. And I was there last year and I felt how big it was because they did the fursuit parade and they have so much space for it that they go up, they zigzag down the multi-floor escalators through the convention hall, go out down like the valet parking underpass out into the actual public street where there's a blocked off cul-de-sac full of photographers and people watching and like the crowd. They loop back around, then go zigzag up and down the other side of the convention center. It's 2 hours long.
Yeah, I was about to say at this point, any attempt at a fursuit parade must just be like, not to be mean about it, but just like a slog. It must be just so huge.
Oh yeah, like people like sweating through their suits and stuff like that were waiting in like the waiting room. People waiting like up to 2 hours just to start walking because they were like at the end of the line. I went to drop off my stuff real quick and then go back in and didn't make it back in, so I got stuck outside during the parade separate from everybody and just kind of hung out like, yeah, okay, let's just see this go. And I didn't know until it was over that it was going to be 2 hours long. And then they do the insane thing, which is because there's so much support for Anthrocon, Pittsburgh then does a block party where the streets for like a block in each direction are just all blocked off from cars.
Holy
and so
shit.
all of the fursuiters can just go out and explore, and you have like all the wine moms on the second floor of restaurants pointing down at everybody like, look at that guy.
So that sounds kind of amazing.
No,
that actually sounds amazing.
Yeah, like I didn't have the best Anthrocon because I couldn't find people for the most part, but that sequence of hours was unhinged. Like just seeing the public furries just kind of exploring around and so on and having like a sanctioned space for it was wild. And that's very different from like these hotel ones we've been at. Yeah,
I mean the FWA situation, the FWA situation is crazy, y'all. They have like four hotels, I think. At this point that you move between 3 or 4 and because of that, like the whole downtown area of Atlanta, or at least around there, is like just full of furries walking around and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. Just because like it's like it feels like it's more than just like we're in this little hotel and we don't leave. It's whenever you can spread out onto like sidewalks and streets and see more of that just sort of out in public, it feels a little bit more real, I guess. So I'd appreciate that about this year. When I went to FWA like 6 or 7 years ago, it wasn't like that at all. I think maybe there was 2 hotels. It's grown quite a bit.
Yeah, I've heard it's very it's like it's startling to encounter these places like a decade later and see how far things have changed in the time since.
Yeah, it's it always felt big because I mean anyone here who has gone to FWA knows that the hotel itself feels big, like just because of the way it's built, and the way that the con attendants sort of hang out in the space just makes it feel big and full, which is not a bad thing. It's just like I didn't necessarily feel like it was bigger this year than it was when I was at it like many years ago, just because of the way that it feels. But I think people that probably go more regularly had a different opinion.
It's so hard to judge the scale of those kinds of cons because of just how many places people are in and how many rooms people are disappearing into. And like
for real,
like we know from the wait to get into any elevator that like those elevators are actively being used. And I don't think it's just so people can go back to their room at the end of the day. It's like active traffic to all the different destinations that are on all the different floors, which is like, it's an insane hotel. It's it's super cool. 40-foot something that looks like the inside of a rib cage, and it's just it's just there's an insane amount of places to go to.
I saw a post on Blue Sky that said that like there's like at least 3 or 4 furry cons now that are in hotels designed by that designer. So that guy is like prolific, the person who designed that hotel, and they all have that like very like it's brutalism, but it's also like really interesting brutalism. And so like, you know, the joke was like, I guess furries just love brutalism. Like,
it's got this like biological element to it. Like it feels, it feels like a Deus Ex environment. Like it was
used in, what was the, let's see, that's the Marriott Marquis?
I think so, yeah.
Atlanta?
It seems like it would have been. I'm trying to think. Like, was that the interior I saw in Morbius?
What's not the Atlanta Marriott Marquis? What is the? Anyway, I'm not going to look it up right now. There's a couple movies where it's in, and if you like, it's like a couple like well-known sci-fi movies, and if you see it in there, you're like, oh, that's where the furries go. Also, I'm really glad. Just as a last like note, I'm really glad I got to leave really early on Monday morning, because I think one of the saddest things for me, or like one of the like most sort of like depressing inducing things, is when like Monday rolls around and like, or the day after the con is done rolls around and like all of the stuff is gone, like that designated space is like a furry space, and then like regular people are starting to come in and like check in and stuff like that. It's just sort of like you don't realize how much of a vibe you had been inhabiting until it gets taken away. Like
it's July 1st.
And you're in the same space. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Like, I had that exact vibe with where specifically last year, I know that Caribou Coffee has like all the unique like chalk drawings of the dumb little furry drinks that they're doing for the event. And I went there that Monday morning before we were getting our flights and stuff with my friends, and all of the branding was already immediately gone. And I'm like, there are still so many furries here, you guys. I don't know. You think you might have jumped the gun a little bit.
Ease us into it.
It feels, and you feel a little disposed of in that moment when everything's just immediately gone. You're like, we're still here, man.
We're still here. We're still here.
No, it's startling. There's that was a wild con. But no, the reason I brought you in here today is because we were chatting on Telegram, and you said something that was intriguing to me and topical for recent stuff that I've been also thinking about, which is that you've been talking about how you've been having fun incorporating your VTuber Fox into your videos lately, but you think that it's not good for the future of your channel.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about it. I think about it like every day, and my brain goes back and forth on whether or not it's something I feel okay about or not. So I guess that's a good part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And you're in the same position where you've a similar position where you've, started to, I guess, use more overt furry signifiers in your thumbnails for the most part. I think that's where you're seeing, where you're presenting more as furry. And I guess I guess a good question to start off with is like, why? Like, why did you decide to start doing that?
A lot of it's just like honesty, I guess. And it's also like, to some extent, I was kind of riding a positivity wave that I might have thought was more unanimous than it was.
Yeah, that's a really succinct way of putting it, honestly.
Yeah, no, because I
sort of like,
yeah, like I came out in April 2022, and I did that in a Beastars video essay that took off like crazy. And that was kind of like defining my year for a while there. Like things were going all right in my life, and I was meeting a bunch of people, and that channel was taking off and doing well, and I was getting a lot of positive feedback and people being excited about that stuff. And so like I was like, let's commit to this stuff. I did it first in the tiniest possible way, which is just that like I was playing Elden Ring at the time for the channel, and I would realize that I had already pre-recorded just enough that there would be enough footage to last until my scheduled time for the video, and then I was going to be recording a new video after that, my coming out basically, for the first time after that. I'm like, okay, I'll hold off on that. I'll just fix it on my deadline for this video, and as a reward for me, once I finish the video, I'll then go back into Elden Ring and like be acknowledging what happened essentially. And my small way of doing that was just that I went and I found like the Blythe mask that you can get in that game, and I spent the rest of the game wearing the Blythe mask, for those that know, like the wolf head you can get in that game. That's just almost one-to-one recreation of the furry husband in that game, basically, except he looks kind of murdered in the mask.
Well, I mean, no spoilers, but that does kind of also fit, unfortunately.
But but then I was at PAX later that year, and I was like, let's like commit, because I've always had a little cartoon drawing of myself in like the sidebar since the beginning of the channel. Originally like a shitty little $30 one that I got from somebody that just like spams them out, and then I commissioned a friend later, and then I commissioned somebody else eventually, and it's like it's just one guy in every sidebar. I'm like, it's probably because I don't like
animal guy.
Yeah, like it should just be an animal guy. And it's like, it's probably so boring, partly because it's like, without being connected to furry beforehand as like an actual community person, as opposed to lurking, I didn't really know artists to commission in the first place. But it's also like, it's not fun or interesting to me to depict myself over and over again as a human being and like, I don't know, peanut butter gamer JonTron, like have a bunch of like cartoon drawings of yourself over and over again. Like I don't like paying people to draw me. I don't like anything about that. Whereas once I had a persona, I'm like, this is great. Let's have like let's send this guy on adventures, put him in different clothes and poses and expressing different emotions and like pog or whatever the fuck. And then it's like, that's immediately more compelling. So I was interacting with an artist friend of mine, and I was like, what if we just got a series of different little like sidebar marrows that like the first thing was like one per each genre of game, like that kind of seemed like mainstays, and then it was like there's certain games where I'm doing the entire franchise and there's like hundreds of episodes. So like what if I had a series specific thumbnail for like Silent Hill and Resident Evil and so on, and that all just seemed cool. And a few people complained, a couple people complained, but it's like the same level of complaint you get when you make literally any change ever on a YouTube channel. Like, your thumbnails look slightly different, I'm mad now. Oh, your videos are 10 minutes longer or 10 minutes shorter now. Like literally every change you ever make, someone will complain. And that's just a thing you get used to and learn to ignore, and it's not even usually worth arguing with. And it seemed like things are going fine, but I did notice like a demographic shift over time where anything I uploaded that was furry related was doing really well. And anything that I uploaded that seemed like it would work back in the day, it was a total gamble. So like Elden Ring stuff didn't do that great. A lot of Souls stuff that I was like the backbone of the stuff in the day didn't do that great. Puzzle games were a mixed bag. But if I uploaded just random furry bait things, that would skyrocket by comparison. And that could be a billion things, that like the decline of the niche of the Let's Play genre. It could be but like it also could be like this weird background detail where like, how smart is the YouTube algorithm? Because it's good at doing its job at making YouTube do well, but I don't know if it's good at categorizing videos and figuring out who to send them to and everything. And so one of my worries is that I looked at the background of my channel, and at some point it would be like, here's the videos and channels that people are watching that watch your content. And it used to
Oh
be,
God, it tells you that.
oh yeah, you've never seen this page before in your analytics.
I'll be completely honest. I do not look at analytics ever.
Analytics will drive you insane.
Yeah,
like one of the worst things
so dehumanizing.
One of the worst things they ever did was give you the dashboard page that ranks every video you make 1 to 10 compared to the other videos.
It's like, this one's doing good. This one's doing
feel
bad.
like a failure all the time.
That I feel like that went away. Did that go away?
No, it's still there.
Oh, it's still there. Okay,
it's still there. Right. But no, there's an audience tab in the analytics that tells you what videos people are watching lately that watch your content and what channels they're watching. And it went from being a bunch of mid-tier obscure Let's Players to being like Beta Ada Delota and Skuru and a bunch of obvious furries, you can tell because of all their avatars. Like all their avatars were just furries. And I'm like,
okay,
that's weird. Because half of these channels are doing like Reddit post reactions and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I'm like, that's not the genre I'm in. So it's like this bizarre thing of like, either because of YouTube's categorization or just audience habits, like maybe presenting furry at all drives away regular people and gives you an influx of furry, and furries themselves maybe have such like a in-group loyalty that they'll watch all sorts of furry content so much that it supersedes genre. But it was very weird to go from all of my suggested related content being Let's Plays to all of my suggested related content being a guy with a furry avatar reacts to r/furry IRL posts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's such a shift from being like this person who plays Outer Wilds and like that's a thing I never anticipated when I did the shift, because I'm like, why would that happen? Like that's such a complicated
well, does it make sense in hindsight? Like,
yeah,
I guess
no,
it
makes sense in hindsight in a way, but like it's like the kind of thing that like it's like the kind of thing that you couldn't predict because it's never happened before, maybe to anyone. Like that specific of a undercurrent of demographic shift purely because the two things I did was have a cartoon animal in my avatar, in my thumbnails, which isn't even that strange of a thing to do in many cases. And
not really, no.
I did the thing I always do, which I would like, because I have this whole back current of like, I started with some Souls games, and then it was like, okay, what can I do that's like Souls games? And then I kind of like stabbed, and I tried a puzzle game that was like an RPG with puzzle elements, which is Grimrock. And then I was like, people like puzzle games. So like, you just follow those leads. Like a thing does well and you follow up on that thing. Oh, people like Phoenix Wright and Zero Escape. Let's play more visual novels. But specifically the furry visual novels or stuff like that, that was just like, okay, this is doing well, let's do more of these. But it never became the channel. It never took over the channel. It was just like, here's my 5 parallel playthroughs. I always have a slot dedicated to this one thing because it keeps doing well, which is what I've done the whole history of the channel.
Yeah, because you have like multiple games you're doing at once, right? Like it's not just like,
So it's like this weird element of like, oh, okay, here's a bunch of things and I'm just following different trends. I'm juggling these audiences all at once. And this one audience, just interacting with it, like replaces your categorization of your entire channel. Like that's never happened before. And I was running the channel with the same philosophy I always have, and it's very weird that happens, and I find that deeply interesting.
You changed the signifiers. Your shibboleth, you wrote a different shibboleth on your hand and showed it to people.
That's the thing, and like it overrides people's consciousness of your channel. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that like, I think you made a really interesting point that it's not uncommon to have an animal avatar as a YouTuber, but there's a distinction between like
super.
Like, there's this channel I found that like, yeah, exactly, yeah, like you know, there's this one YouTuber that's like he reviews terrible movies. He's a possum. He's like, I'm a possum. I found garbage, and he like reviews the movie, but it's not like a furry possum. It's like this badly drawn little thing, and there's so many little badly drawn little guys out there.
Yeah.
But like when you start to like make it more, I guess, realistic, or for like when they start to fill in the details and become like more furry, it does things to people's brains.
Looks like
and
this guy.
looks like that guy. Yeah.
Oh,
though
the camera hates this.
No, it's like I can't do that.
No.
Can't do that kind of contrast, you bastard.
Oh, it
No,
looks
wants to
better
look at it,
now.
though.
Great.
So the reason I started doing that was very similar to yours. Like I've been a furry for so long, for so long, like since I was in early teens. And, you know, I'm 45 now. Like it's been a long time. I've been in and out of the community, like from a fandom perspective for like sort of on the outside of it for most of this entire time. And I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it was basically like I found some interesting furries that were making art, like real art, and also that they were like politically active or conscious at least. And I was like, wow, these are people that I actually like agree with, and I'm getting along with in a way that isn't just like, wow, wolves are cool, you know, like, you know, it's more than that, but it also, you know, was inextricably linked to being a furry. It wasn't just like, it's this very odd triumvirate of things like Venn diagramming with each other. And that gave me some confidence to be like, you know what, I've been on the edge of this thing for so long. Like I feel a little bit more connected to it. I feel more connected to it now. Like I'm actually meeting people who are doing very interesting music, very interesting art, and are also interested in changing how society works in ways that I agree with. And that's a really powerful connection of things. And so, you know, I got involved with the visual novel space through you. And that was sort of my you know, started doing, I think it's my first video I used the avatar for. It's ridiculous because I've been putting like furry jokes in my videos for years. Like when I went to FWA, like for the first time, I did an EP there, and it was clear I was at the FWA hotel, and like I had Telegram on my phone as a joke. Like it's been happening for so long, and I come out with these videos, and every single time,
it's all down low. Like for normal people, it doesn't register at all. You know?
Right? Yeah. I guess that's it. And so like these little in jokes, and so you know, going and actually making it like a front and center thing is definitely, well, I don't even actually know if it's changed the dynamic, to be honest. Like I don't have the analytical data or really an insight into whether or not using that avatar is damaging my channel, because my channel has already been kind of through the ringer. It you know, like the way that it grew was through a very, very specific type of content, like one type of content, which was the OP1 videos. And since I stopped, you know, making that the focus, like the viewership is very fractured. And it's like some people will sign up because I did like more political sided videos. Some people will sign up because like I did like an OP1 video randomly last year. It's like, it's all very, very fractured. And that is reflected in the view counts, where it's like, if I break like 7 to 10K on a video, like at that point, that's good for me. And I have 450,000 subscribers. Like it's insane. So the furry avatar doesn't actually seem to be having a super negative effect on my channel. It's really like, will people watch the content I'm putting out? But I am a little like, I guess I'm a little concerned about like representing myself in a way that is like, how do I put this? I need a different avatar, I think. Like the one that I have is like very, very like cute and cartoony and very like furry in that way. I need like an avatar that like looks like it's been through some shit. I need one that like is more representative of being like tired and like a little, you know, a little older, like just like a little bit more grounded. And I think that maybe I'll feel less self-conscious about representing myself in that way. But I'll tell you, it's very affirming if you are furry, or if like, you know, maybe you're questioning things about your identity in any other way, like, you know, maybe you're trans or something like that. Piloting an avatar is a very affirming and interesting process to partake in, because you just get to try and be something else for a bit. And I think that that's really, really powerful. And if you are specifically furry, then it's a very like, I don't want to go as far as to say euphoric, but like it starts to get there because like you're like, oh wow, like I'm making this thing move around and it's like and it's talking and it's kind of me, like sort of, you know, I can't move my legs because I don't have full body tracking, but like there's a very sort of like affirming thing about it. And I think for me, that right now is overriding the concern about whether or not it's like good or bad for the channel. Or the two are kind of like at odds with each other. Like on one side, it's a very affirming thing and I really, really like it. On the other side is like, am I pigeonholing myself? And, you know, the sort of the same worries that you've had. I don't really see myself as like a furry musician. I'm a musician who also is furry. And I think the balance striking, the striking of that balance is a very like difficult thing to pull off. This is no dig against people that are furry musicians, like, and that actively promote themselves as under the hashtag, you know, furry music or whatever. That's a whole thing, and I don't have a problem with that. But it's not how I want to necessarily be viewed. At the same time, it's really, really hard to downplay and ignore the amount of positivity that can be that you can receive for engaging with other furries under circumstances that you are okay with. But, you know, like you said, you had a lot of positive outpouring when
literally the most creative support I've ever had in the history of being any kind of public figure or doing this as a job. Like, it's always been like, you go from being like yet another random disposable YouTuber that's just kind of like a part of the group and like some people like you and that's it, to being like, no, people are like extremely like supportive of the stuff you do. They're excited. They're invested in like what you're actually doing on like a textual level, what the art means, and also like drawing mountains of like fan art and things, and like really exciting on that level that's like hard to process. Like it's like a level of information that's like it every sign of it tells you not only is this good for your life, it's also like obviously good for your career, because look at all this positivity that's happening. What else could it mean? I mean, I think people that are doing what we're doing in terms of making content, for lack of a better way of putting it, how we receive affirmation and how we like stay like positive about what we're doing is kind of like twofold. Like we have to have high numbers. We need to see those numbers go up, because that's how platforms work, right? Like, you know, it's very difficult to look at a video that only has like 1,000 views and say, well, that was a success, you know, because the whole concept of what a successful video is on YouTube is like 1 million views. Like, that's a good video, right? Like the whole concept of success on the platform has completely skewed our brains, like, and skewed towards like higher and higher numbers. And we were both in a period of decline, I think, when we kind of made this switch and hit this positivity. So it felt like probably like a kind of like a salvation of sorts. Like this would like kind of like a fix in some ways.
Well, that's the other half of it, is that there's the numbers game, right? And then there's the I care about what you're doing game, like where people actually like, you feel like people actually have engaged with what you've made, and it has had an impact on them that they so, you know, compelling that they decided to reach out to you and tell you that. And that is also important. You have to have both things. You can't just like, I think you need both. The numbers aspect of it, though, is becoming harder and harder for me to justify trying for, because I do not think, I can put this in a very succinct way. There was a Mr. Beast document that got leaked years ago that was like, you know,
already a tough start.
what their mission statement was. And I think at some point he was like, or it was written in this document, it was like, we're not here to make we're here to make the best YouTube videos, not the most funny videos, not the most interesting videos, the best YouTube videos.
Yep.
And that made me think a lot about like how the platform incentivizes a very particular type of engagement with it and content with it. And that's not to say that every single good video on the platform is done like a Mr. Beast video, like in some way or another. But I know a lot of people who have decided to take that as their like take that sort of like mentality and apply it to their content, and it just doesn't really have any interest to me whatsoever. Like I don't want to make that kind, like I don't want to have that mentality looming over what I do.
Yeah, like, and for me, it's always been this desperation of figuring out how to like, how do I make it so that making what I'm interested in making and what drives me just does well. Like, how do I square that circle without actually being like, no, I'll make the thing that's popular, and like I'll make tier lists and reaction videos and drama commentary and so on, like that whole mess. And it's like,
the thing is, like, if you did that, there's no necessarily guarantee that it would take off. And so you could completely, you know, for lack of a better way of putting it, sell out to the concept of the algorithm and just make slop. And if you actually like cared at all about what you were making, you would still feel bad about everything. Like the trick is like, I think if you want to really be good at YouTube, you have to stop caring about what you make. It has to be like a product that is engineered to be successful. And that unfortunately is like, that's the commercialization of the platform, right? Like that's where we are. And
oh yeah,
I don't want to do that. And I think to an extent, sorry, one more thing. I think being a furry is an anti-consumer is an anti-consumerist move. Like for the most part, the fandom cannot be commodified because of just how weird it is, and for lack of a better way of putting it. I do
which
believe
puts us
that,
in
like,
an interesting position as people that need to pay rent.
Sure.
As like kind of artist.
Yeah.
I mean, you just are an artist, and I do like stuff that is on the fringe of what people call art with the because I do write and everything. And it's like, and that bucks up against like an element of what a circle of furries would also bring up is like this whole like particular stance of like keep furry weird, like this anti-commodification, this element of it's like the kind of furry that particularly will like chafe against people all glomming onto the latest like Disney furry bait and so on, like Zootopia 2 and stuff like that, because they're like, no, furry isn't supposed to be about these corporate characters. It's supposed to be about what we're doing as like an art movement and so on. And like because furries themselves are like a queer art collective, and the commodification and commercialization of that gets really messy. And it's also where it's like I like what you said before. It's like I'm doing a thing where I am a Let's Player and video essayist who is furry, but I'm not trying to be a furry that, both because trying to fully commercialize that is on its own is weird, but it's also like that would also imply that I'm only making fandom works, and that's my only goal. Yep. But when you said the Mr. Beast quote, the thing that always struck me, because like I heard that quote a while ago, and like specifically, it's almost just the Michael Eisner quote again. Like when Michael Eisner ran Disney, he had this quote that's like, the pursuit of making money is the only reason to make movies. We have no obligation to make history. We have no obligation to make art. We have no obligation to make a statement. Our obligation is to make money, and to make money, it is important. It may be important to make art. It may be necessary to make history. To make money, it may be important to win the Academy Award, for it might mean another 10 million at the box office. That was the CEO of Disney at one point, and it's like,
that is brutal. Holy moly.
It's vicious. It's just a brutal anti-art statement.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's the worst shit I've ever heard. And it's like, and I'm like, I fucking, and like we're and like as a YouTuber, it makes sense that someone like Mr. Beast would be in that headspace, because like I feel the
I mean,
tendrils of that. Yeah, like, and it's also like just you're trying to, at some point you're trying to eat, you're trying to survive, and so like everyone's in a different relationship with their creativity as a YouTuber. Like famously, like the Angry Video Game Nerd is kind of in a post creativity era where he's just kind of like raising his family and being middle aged and. You know, like, well, I guess I'll settle on this job that I managed to create for myself and let people write for me and just kind of go in and film it and then hand it off to the editors or whatever and then go back to like raising my kid. And that's like, that's reasonable. And like people like Mr. Beast, it terrifies me because he's like somebody who the algorithm got to the brain of when he was very young. Yeah. And I feel very blessed to have grown up with the internet, but without the algorithms in the internet, and that like,
I agree.
I was in high school when YouTube launched, and when Facebook launched, and I had a MySpace in middle school and so on. And like back then, MySpace was like a glorified web page that people could visit. It was like a GeoCities. Facebook, its revolutionary idea was just to have the wall, as it called it, which was the home page that was just everyone's posts in chronological order in one big mess. So, oh god, there's a destination you can go to instead of visiting each person's page to see what kind of autoplay music they put up lately and commenting on it. There's actually a place to talk to people and see stuff. Yeah. Like MySpace was about visiting people's pages and is there MySpace, I guess. And Facebook was like, it became this place where it's like, oh, there's like what we'd later would know as like the Twitter feed and so on. And Twitter was like that too. It was just a chronological feed with no it had no threads and it had no algorithm. If Andrew was live tweeting about a show he was mad about, I would just see 100 consecutive tweets on my feed from one person, randomly interrupted by other people that didn't know that was happening. And YouTube, the front page was curated by the creators of YouTube and sometimes guest YouTubers. Like I remember Syriac, the stop motion animator. No, that's Pez. Yeah. I think Pez and Syriac actually both.
Syriac is the really kind of like disturbing.
That's the cows guy. Yeah. The devolving into insanity, weird motion tweening, body horror animal things. I think both of them at some point got to curate the front page for a day. Like
someone listening to this is just like, "Ooh, I've never heard of that." I'm into that.
No, it's great. But like it was a really cozy little thing where like the front page of YouTube was curated like you would curate like the front page of a news website.
I had no idea. That is wild.
Yeah, and like they would have guest curators where a YouTuber would get to like run the front page for a day and pick out what would be there, and like it was like a very human thing. And I started doing YouTube when algorithms technically, like they existed. You definitely could get suggested content and so on, but no one really was conscious of it that much yet, and it wasn't that pervasive. It was kind of just like, you watch this guy, here's more stuff by him, and it wasn't that sophisticated. And I've watched it morph over time to the point where it just becomes like, okay, so now the new meta is that Let's Players don't put numbers in their thumbnails and titles because every time you do part whatever, that makes the series do worse, and now all their audiences are mad at them, but the videos are doing great. So what does that mean? How do you balance the idea that you're pissing off your entire audience but being rewarded for it with more audience? It's like, because it became about tricking the audience into watching your content. And like the thing where people will say they don't like something, but then it does work on them. Like, and then the constant dilemma about like a red arrow in your thumbnail or clickbait and stuff like that. It's like having, in this series of vlogs I've been doing recently, I was like, is it time for me to retire? And it was just me doing a video about like aging and like the death of the channel. And it's what really happens at furry conventions. My character looks like he's like going to reveal a dark secret. And it's did that approach? They did so well.
Really? Oh, no.
That what really happens at furry conventions video is like the most popular video I've made since like the series premiere of like my Riven playthrough, because the Mist series has a huge identity on my channel.
I have to say, like as somebody who, like, you know, obviously you've experienced this too. When you're scrolling, you're processing a lot of information very fast, and you're making very snap decisions as to whether or not you're going to engage with something. I will say that like those titles gave me pause. Like I was seeing that, I'm like, oh, what is he talking about? Like I was just at that convention. What happened?
Uh-huh.
So it's like creating that split second gravity that pulls people in is, I guess, very powerful. I don't know how to do that with my content because it's like I've seen music production clickbait.
The most controversial OP1 video.
Yeah.
The real answer is, and this is sad, is that you don't have to. I'm saying like you would have to if you tried to do this that hard, is you'd have to like change your content. You'd have to kind of devolve from what you were doing. Like I got dragged into painter YouTube recently where people paint and care about pigments, and it was because there's a like this Anne Reardon style channel but for paints where like she collects paints and she recreates old paints that don't exist anymore based on like this cool. This is what it would have looked like if you painted like this back then during this era, because it's like a series of pigments,
like tasting history but with painting,
and it's like toxic materials and stuff like stuff that you don't want to use anymore on purpose, and she's like being careful with it, but like
it's like snorting lead.
But I didn't find her channel because YouTube's suggesting quaint painting videos to me. I found her channel because she was like, TikTok tried to get me arrested because she made like some kind of like uranium byproduct paint to do that was like historically accurate at one point, and she did all the steps she had to do, and she was wearing a respirator and all this stuff, but like, you know, TikTok always knows better, so they were trying to like dox her and get her arrested for like poisoning her town's water supply and all this stuff. And it's like,
oh my god,
you know, like just
what the fuck,
you know, like the way that
that video, she made a video about it, and it did pretty well, I'm assuming.
I think it's her most popular video on her channel, maybe, but it definitely was like the one that like got pushed to me as an algorithm thing, and it's like that's what the website
that
thrives
makes so much
on.
sense.
Yeah. It's like it's why.
And also, you mentioned
you can't upload TikTok. like Riven Part 10 of my like sleepy puzzle game playthrough. It's because everyone's like, this guy killed a man, and like that's what YouTube is like throwing at everyone all the time.
Yep. Yeah, it's two things. One, you mentioned the algorithm development and how you watched it sort of come up over time. I think there's post TikTok and there's pre TikTok. Like the way that TikTok changed the concept of our engagement with media has had forever effects on every other platform. And
it's a disaster.
That's just the way it is. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. Like it really is. But that's just how it is now. And also, I mean, like, I really dislike it when I see, and this is one of the reasons I don't really engage with my YouTube peers anymore, which actually sort of coincided around the same time I was like, I'm just talking with furries now. I'm talking with furries. I'm not talking with YouTubers anymore. Like, because some of my peers started to really be serious, quote unquote, about YouTube, and they would talk about maximizing retention and thumbnail manipulation. Like they were it was that kind of brainworm stuff. And I don't want to be negative towards people that want to be successful and think that there is value in following these particular things, but I have such a like dark personal relationship with my success on YouTube, like such a conflict of relationship with the whole thing, that someone's going to hear this and be like, well, this is why you suck. Like, I refuse to try. Like, I refuse to try to make YouTube happy. I do want to make good videos, and I'm not going to stop making good videos, and I'm not going to stop making stuff that I think is like well edited and well researched and fun. But like, I cannot engage with what I see as like a really dehumanizing process, which is to do good at YouTube. I don't know if there's a way to do it and be successful.
And it feels arbitrary. Like there are people.
It feels so arbitrary. Yeah.
There are people like obviously you have like your H bomber guys and whatnot that just kind of like upload a completely different genre of video every other time. It's like, this one's about a video game. This one's about this guy. I'm like, why are they all do well? Like, wait, but we all have to.
Because of his personality, like he's just like him and like Brian David Gilbert at this point. Like, there's creators who just like it doesn't matter what they upload now because they've already really proved themselves in other ways.
I just mean like that aspect of like
last...
it feels like you have to stick to certain genres normally or certain topics and like stay in your lane, and that so many people get punished for stepping out of their lane. Yeah, and so it's always surprising when there's certain people that get away with that, or you have like I think Joseph Anderson will just upload a video every 6 months that's just like name of this game review, and it doesn't even have a thumbnail, and it gets millions of views. You're like, what?
Who is Joseph Anderson?
It's a game reviewer, like vaguely video essayist genre.
What's his claim to fame?
Mostly sort of being contrarian about popular games.
He's got a fucking dragon as a
yes.
He's got a cartoon dragon with synthwave glasses and it's smoking. Oh, he's like a ranter, huh? Like, does he rant?
He gets a little self-important. I have a bit of a bone to pick with that channel because he talks too much about art like it's an objective thing, and then kind of poses objectivity like it's gonna, the type of person that uses objectivity to just kind of support his very subjective arguments, and sometimes will like really belabor a point that I'm like, this doesn't even slightly matter to the art. Like this doesn't. I just really disagree with his opinions a lot of the time, but there's a few really good videos that he's made. But I'm mostly just marveling at the fact that like he doesn't play the YouTube game and it works, and I'm like, I'd love to do that, but I don't know why it worked for you, or why it, and maybe it's just the specific niche forever element. But no,
is he generally like? I'm looking at his WikiTube page, and he like so first of all, the weirdest thing about this WikiTube pages is like it talks about who he is and a little bit about him. Apparently, he gained a moderate amount of online discussion and mild controversy following a lukewarm review of Super Mario Odyssey in 2018. He generated a moderate amount of online discussion and mild controversy following a lukewarm review of Super Mario Odyssey in 2018. Wow, there's not like a definitive fucking adjective there at all.
It was like Mario Odyssey, not a masterpiece or something was what it was called. And it's like
also known for his critiques of Dark Souls and a Fallout series. So he seems a bit like a like he's probably courting the like contrarian or like kind of like semi-negative
this extremely popular thing right now. It's not
really that popular. It's not really that good.
Like it's not like it's never like Elden Ring is garbage. It's like it's like that kind of tone and being kind of a little smug about it.
It's like,
and then apparently
you're
it does
actually,
really well for him.
But actually kind of wrong about that. That's going to do really well if it's the algorithm will probably favor that, honestly. The algorithm just really likes negativity. Like,
but it's funny you went to the Wikitube just
people
because I'm
like negativity.
Those pages are hilariously fucked uply written every
the
time.
We're
like just the things they choose to include or summarize about people. Or
dude,
I had one point where it was just like it looked like a data scrape that happened at a very specific month of my life or something. I'm like, what is the summary? Who wrote this? I don't understand.
After it gives that little intro about him, it's just a series of quotes, and the quotes take up most of the page. And they're just nonsense. If you ever want to fucking just like hate a YouTuber or a streamer, look at a list of like the random shit that their fans say, like that they take out of context and just like say like you're supposed to know what the hell they're talking about. Like Germa and like other people like that have these little catchphrases that like their audiences have like glommed onto, and like they'll just say them in random places. Like talk about shibboleths, right? They'll like fucking just say them in random situations, and you'll see like random people also jump in to like say other random things that they've said, and it's kind of like that Spider-Man pointing meme. It's just like it's so bizarre how little groups of people, little things like glom onto people and people glom onto. One of my greatest fears is ever finding out that I have like a Reddit page about me, about my channel. I never want to be discussed in that way whatsoever. Like it would be the most fucked up thing. I know for instance like Heinbach has one who's another like sort of music tech YouTuber, and like I'm like I would never want to police that or look at the energy that was being put there. Anyway, sorry.
Having a Reddit thread or a Twitter thread about you is usually just a bunch of people smugly responding to a thing that they will then admit they never watched. It's like, because you're on websites that are separate from your comment section, obviously. So it's like it's the same thing as like when somebody embeds a video in Discord. It's like almost every single time the conversation is just people feeling the need to react or have a take, but also they're not going to engage with the thing or leave the platform they're on. So they just,
you know what,
like,
I'm
talk
guilty of
about
that so
thumbnails.
much.
Yeah,
no, exactly. That's what, like, if someone posts a video to my Discord about something, the thumbnail sucks, I'll just say I'm not watching that. Like that fucking there's no way I'm watching that. They're like, no, it's really good. I'm like, I don't care. Like I can't get past the thumbnail. And
it's a lot of the process.
I think if we put ourselves in the position of other people who have that same reaction to YouTube videos and content in general, if we can kind of flip the script and realize that there's, you know, that if we're that judgmental, like, or if I'll just say for me, if I'm that judgmental, then everybody else probably, well, I guess not everybody else, but a lot of people are too. And so at this point, like, I don't really know what to do in terms of like what's good to put in a thumbnail. I've never been good at thumbnails, just to be clear. Like, but at this point, it's like, I do want to tell people if the avatar is going to be in the video. I'm not going to make it necessarily the front and center thing, but I will put it in the thumbnail.
You want it to signify whether or not it's going to be in the thing they're opening.
Yeah. Like, and unfortunately, I don't know if that's good for anybody. Like, I don't know if being honest with people in your thumbnail is a good idea. But that's how I'm going to be approaching it.
And you've got to be like in a weird headspace with thumbnails because like there's like a formula to a lot of them. There's a particular like genres of them, but I think some of your most popular thumbnails are just the OP1 on the screen with some colored lighting and then just the text saying furries or something across the screen.
Or like,
and like
autism,
just like white
honestly.
text. Yeah. And it's like, what do you do with that information? How do you iterate on that going forward?
You can't.
Besides making the same thumbnail forever, and then if it stops working, then not wondering why it stopped working.
You know who does that? There's this YouTuber named David Hillowitz who makes YouTube.
I've been afraid to interrupt, but I think your camera went to sleep or something.
Oh no! How's that possible?
I've let it sit for way too long because I'm like, I don't want to interrupt him.
I was ranting and no one could see me.
No.
So I'm not talking shit about David Hillowitz. I actually if you search, do you have a chat in here? I'll put it in here. Share your screen. How do I type something into this?
David Hillowitz.
Yeah, look at his YouTube channel. I'm so fucking jealous of this fucker. Yeah.
Oh, he just has very clean.
It's just so clean.
Photos.
It's always the same,
tech.
And he has like one signifying sentence and like the item, and that's it. Like, this motherfucker arrived at a formula. And it fucking works. And I'm like so pissed at people who did that because like I cannot do that. I cannot come up with a formula. I can't do it.
When you talk about Mr. Beast and stuff, it comes to mind that like Jacksepticeye had it right way back when, where he was put on a lie detector. And he was asked his opinion about Mr. Beast.
Oh, I remember that.
And he said that he really hates what Mr. Beast did to the platform and how YouTube used to be about having fun, and he like took that away from it essentially. And he got so much hate for like the next 3 years about that until everyone agreed with him. Because like everyone just had to catch up with the fact that, oh, maybe this like extremely popular non-inflammatory industry insider type person might have like a perspective on this that means something and isn't just drama, because I don't really know. I don't know Jack that well as a content creator, but it doesn't come up as a drama thing.
I don't think so. I think he's always, from my impression of him, is he's always been a pretty stand-up guy. Of the like huge like streamer people. He's always been like kind of one
Jack
of the good ones.
Mark have been like relatively uncontroversial, high profile people who react to a gameplay thing with the webcam in the corner guys and have made that work for themselves. But like,
God bless Markiplier. Like he seems like a like an actually good guy. I kind of like him, even though I don't watch his stuff.
I don't watch either of their stuff. I encounter one of their videos once a year basically, and I'm like, yeah, all right, bye. It's fine.
I think at this point YouTube is more, and this is very indicative of the platform. I think YouTube at this point is much more likely to suggest you an Asmongold video than something from Markiplier or
Jacksepticeye. And I'm like, please stop sending me Asmongold.
It's bad. But he's an inflammatory, right-wing grifter.
He'll tell stories about using a dead rat's corpse as an alarm clock.
Oh, God.
And then people will take those stories seriously, like they're genuine lore because they hate him. So they'll take the stories that make him look bad like they're real and spread those around, not getting that that's just part of his marketing and that's part of his brand is for you to fall for those really silly stories that... Like
the bait,
like even if he is a slob and unhealthy or whatever in his room, I'm like that. Those are cartoonish stories. Those are like obviously, come on, man, you can't be spreading those around like those are true. It's like it's very silly, but yeah, it's like part of his brand. And it's always outrage. It's always courting controversy. It's always saying something horrible at a group of people and then bouncing back and being like, oh, maybe he's growing as a person arc for a month. And then like, it's just always another arc going on in his like drama life. And I'm like, I hate that that's part of the formula now is like, it's all YouTuber as performance
the bait, art. Outrage, performative outrage kind of stuff.
We used to have let's we're a bit off topic though, but I was going
to ask. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that like the one balance that I have to strike, and then I did that with those vlog videos and so on, and it's a bit of the Mr. Beastification, but it's also trying to figure out how to do art in that environment, essentially, is that, like, what Mr. Beast, the point of wisdom that Mr. Beast does have to offer about how the website works right now is basically just the fact that, like, you come up with the title and thumbnail first, and then you work backwards.
Oh, I do remember him saying that. Yeah.
And it's just like, that's like, all of his things are about making a clickable video, and then it's almost like secondary what happens later. Like, his Squid Game video is fucking terrible, and it's like the biggest event that's ever happened in the entirety of YouTube. It's a terrible Squid Game video. It's a terrible competition. It's a terrible reality show. There's no characters to follow. The games are not fun to watch. There's nothing interesting about the video besides the fact that he physically made it, and then there's a title and thumbnail to click on, and that's why it did well. And so, like, my struggle is trying to figure out how to do these vlogs, for example, or do my video essays where, like, I have flops that are very indicative. Like, I do these things that are like, I have these evocative vlogs in the series. Then I have the one in the middle where I'm like, I'm just going to talk about the new season of Black Mirror because I feel like it. And that didn't have like I couldn't like come up with the branding for that retroactively to make it evocative. So it super flopped. And like, out of all my video essays, the one where I was like, it was original title was like digging into, it was like something about like analyzing the Evil Dead movie that came out, and it like it didn't have a punch. It was just like, it's me. I'm making the thing you guys like, right? I was just putting it on faith. Like the title and thumbnail indicate that, hey guys, it's me. It's my next piece of content. It's me talking about another piece of media and doing the thing you like where I analyze it. That's enough, right? Because that used to be enough. But because it wasn't evocative, massive flop. Everything on that channel has like 100,000 views. Some of them have 500,000. Biggest one has 1.5 million. That video has still not broken 20,000 a year later.
Oh my God.
And it's just dead. It's dead on a level that I didn't think was, like, I thought I had a noise floor that was higher than that as a baseline.
Yeah.
I thought,
So that's, I understand that sentiment right there.
That feeling where you think, I've gotten bigger, I'm safe, this is what a normal video will look like, and up here is what good videos will look like, and then you get a video that's like, oh, I worked on that, and no one saw it, and it wasn't like, it wasn't the baseline that I thought would happen, it was just no one. I'm like, oh, how do I avoid that? That's where it gets in your brain, and you get panicked about this stuff, because you don't want to spend like 3 months making a thing and then functionally putting it into like the paper shredder.
The thing that really sucks about this is I have two comments, so I'm just going to throw this one out. One is I want to talk about after this, like, what happens if one decides to reverse on furry representation in the videos,
because we gotta get back on topic.
Yes, but two, I also like, and this is sort of on topic, it's like, so right now I'm working on a really big visualizer that's like over an hour long for my FWA music set. So it's all the music that I made for that, And each song is basically a little like lyric video with effects and stuff like that. It's a fair amount of work. I've been working on it for a week now, and to me that seems like a long time.
Yeah.
And I
And your
don't
visual
think it's going to do
presentation
very
and
well.
these are great too. Like I love the energy in your videos visually. Like they're a lot of fun to
I love doing it.
watch.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. I don't think this video is going to do very well. And it's something that I've been like thinking about in the back of my head. One, what do I title this? What do I choose for a thumbnail? How do I, get people to engage with this that weren't interested in specifically my set at FWA? Because there's, I've been asked by some people, when is this going up? When is this going up? But how do I put this in front of people in such a way that they actually care about it? And I honestly have no idea. The fact of the matter is, music doesn't seem to do very well on YouTube. Like you have like very good music videos, obviously. Like music videos do good, but that's like a whole industry.
Yeah.
For popular artists,
the difference between being like background noise, just raw music in its own little world versus like making YouTube videos about music or with music, like that specifically is way more niche than like the extremely popular music side of YouTube.
So I don't really know. Oh, I guess my point was saying, you were saying like, oh, I don't want to put all this work into something that then like goes out and doesn't get anyone to see it. There are some videos I have to make. Like I just have to make them. And this is one of those videos. Is it more work than I'm used to making? Yeah. But that's why I have to do it. And if I spend the whole time concerned about like how it's going to do poorly on the platform, if I make that my thing, I'll never make anything. Like so while I think it is important to like really put the most you can that you're willing to into your content, and think about how to engage with people through your content, meaning like I'm thinking about the audience here while I'm also thinking about what I want to say. I think that's possible. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's possible. As opposed to just making something strictly for yourself. Where am I going with this? I do believe there's a balance that can be struck, but I don't think it's possible to like only make things because they're going to be successful. And the worst thing in the world would be trying to do that and have them not be successful. Like at that point, it's like, well, I did everything right. Like literally what I was supposed to do. Like, and it devalues you as a person, and it devalues you as an artist, I think, if that's all you're worried about all the time.
Because you can feel essentially captive to your own audience. Like there's like, okay, this is the audience I have. What
or worse,
what
captive
do
to
they
captive to YouTube
need to watch? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
then
you try
YouTube
to make that
and
then get punished for the thing that was supposed to be the right answer. Then you're like, well,
right.
I'm not even making what I wanted to make. So what was the point of any of this?
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely in this weird position where it's less like, okay, if this is where I said I don't like trying, like because I feel like that trying in big old air quotes with a big weight attached to it means giving into this really inscrutable process that is asking very weird things of you to be successful, and is on top of all that arbitrary. I'm not Mr. Beast. I'll never be Mr. Beast. Like I'll barely, break out of being this weird little niche, like sort of micro celebrity thing that I've become. And with that in mind, like I don't really want to ruin my relationship with what I make by always being concerned with whether or not it's going to be a successful video. Sometimes I just want it to be the best video that I could have made about that thing.
And that's good, because that's the artistic drive. Like that's the need to make things, and it's also like the most furry element of any of this. It's just wanting to make things, and then getting just the positive feedback of other people wanting to make things in response, or you wanting to make things in response to the stuff you saw other people make, and that like feedback loop that furries give each other. And
absolutely, like, oh, like there's this meme, and like, oh, it got drawn, and like, oh, someone added to it, and like, oh, now someone's animated it. Like it's like there's this incredible energy of well, mostly through drawing, like of people looking at the world and responding to it through the lens of furry, and I'm saying things that like are, for lack of a better way of putting it, profound, or at least relatable, and sometimes better at defining the human condition than most humans are. So it's like that's something I love. There's a very deep empathy within furries towards the condition of being alive, and I think that is something that I don't see a lot in regular people. Like, I know that sounds weird, but like there's something about the embracing of a desire to embrace an alternate self, the point where you self-identify as a furry, that also seems to have a connection to wanting to rectify and comment and rectify the conflict of being alive as a human being.
There's an honesty
I don't know if that
to
makes
it,
any sense.
and we're both doing
There's an honesty to it.
We're both doing a thing in all the different permutations of what we do, where it's like it is a thing about self-expression and art that comes from us specifically, like be it commentary or music or written content and so on. Like it's all supposed to be coming from us. So it's like it can be this complicated feeling where it's like we're trying to express ourselves and making stuff that comes from us and is uniquely us, but also there's this element of like, especially with like what I dealt with, like I kept part of myself hidden for like a full decade of doing YouTube, and then revealed that stuff, and a bunch of people embraced it, but other people that were like previously like, oh yeah, express yourself, were then like, no, not like that. And it's like,
not like this.
So
right.
Yeah, and it's like, what the fuck do you mean? And it's like, I'm sorry, but like part of my personality is like, by the way, I've been gay this whole time, and by the way, I'm really invested in this like queer countercultural art movement that's everywhere.
So that's the thing, is the way that you describe it, the way that and the way that I have approached, the way that it has reapproached me and I've reengaged with it is, yeah, there's the sort of like surface level elements of it that like that most people are probably somewhat aware of, but it feels like I've found people that I can actually like have a real conversation with about things, and it matters, and that there's a support there that wasn't there before. And a cartoon fox or cartoon hyena or whatever you are put on a thumbnail does not express that. It does not make that known to people who are scrolling or trying to engage. They do not understand.
People think of
personal
just
relationship,
like porn, basically. Like
I don't know what people think, but like, yeah, I mean, like I've been called like a pedophile now, like excuse me, a PDF file in my comments because like
real words.
Yeah, yes, thanks TikTok. So I think there's a discrepancy between how our relationship is with this thing and many other people's relationship is with this thing, who are also engaged with it as a form of self-expression that's very personal, and people that haven't engaged with it in that way. But I would argue, and I would argue this with anybody who wanted to have the argument, that like, I don't think it's unhealthy in any way, and I think it's actually very normal for people to think about think about being something else, like to have thoughts about changing who they are, I guess. And there's a lot of ways that can be expressed, but if it's very difficult for me to believe that like there are people so bereft of creativity and self-awareness that like if you sat them down and had a real conversation with them about like the personal relationship you have with this, that they like wouldn't understand it to some extent. That doesn't fix the problem, though. That doesn't fix the problem of whether or not it is a good idea to present as overtly furry within the confines of YouTube's algorithmic hellscape. And like what that means.
Yeah. On a website where you're meant to disregard, you're supposed to shed your personality and become slop, basically. Like you
Right.
were like specifically, and in a way, like we're getting punished in a way where it's like, yeah, like these websites want us to, if we don't fit clean into a bucket, we need to shave pieces of ourselves off and become the genre and just give into that kind of stuff, and that's very frustrating. And like, I have a little. I had a bit of a crisis where, like a month or so ago, I had my lowest week of views since I quit my job in the first place to go full time. So it's like a full like 8-9 years suddenly. Like, oh, that graph went down, then went up, then all the way back down to the same point, and that was like upsetting. So I made a video kind of in my headspace about what's going on, and I was like, is the channel dying one? And that was I was already in a vulnerable spot there where I wasn't doing amazingly because of that like anxiety. But what came next really made me spiral and made me really upset for weeks and made me not want to create content or deal with my own audience anymore for a while, was the fact that like,
like the responses.
Yeah, and like I put on a face and I perform for the audience and haha, but like so many people blamed the furry stuff for the decline of the channel so relentlessly in a way that wasn't just. There's like there was the shallow furry anti-furry stuff, and then there was just the people blaming whatever's immediately in their field of view because they don't know how YouTube works, and they're ignoring the part where the video is discussing a years-long trend that predates the furry stuff anyway. But also there was people
about this
who
at FWA where like the whole like they didn't, the context was missing in their comments, but they made them anyways, basically. Like,
but there's also like that specific tone of response that is hard to articulate, but when you're a queer person, you notice the queer phobia element of what someone's saying, and like, oh, this thing is like, this is like barely disguised homophobia of what they're actually saying, what they actually mean. Like they're saying it in a way where I'm like, oh, it's not just a random gut reaction to furry stuff. It's like you have this like homophobic reaction to seeing furry stuff that you haven't interrogated, but it's like overt enough that you're saying it essentially, like you're falling into those patterns that indicate those things. And like that's where a lot of the public is at. That's where people react viscerally and strangely to cartoon animals because they have such a weird warped reaction. And so I kind of want to share a story about like what I think is one of the most furry things that's ever happened basically, which is that I was at FWA with you. I was having breakfast with you and my friend Full Perp that did the animations on this channel and stuff and does a bunch of other content. And you were about to go do your big set that day, and you were sleep deprived and exhausted and everything. And like that was the whole thing where like I'm just like, oh, poor Jeremy has to do this huge concert. And it's like obviously you want to, but it's also like it's the day, like here it comes.
Yeah,
and like
it's both.
That's all stressful. Yeah, it's all that element. But like you also had a panel at that convention, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna show up to your panel and I'm gonna go support you and everything. And I'm like, and you just told me to my face not to go to your panel because it was double booked with Jonathan Ver Duncan's panel about organizing in the fandom. And I had to admit that I also wanted to go to that panel and also had it written down already, and it was like, oh, that's a bummer, they double booked it with Jeremy, I gotta go support my friend. But you're like, no.
Let's just a quick aside. FWA booked the two guest of honors panels at the same time. Like, come on, FWA.
That's a bizarre move. Yeah, there's a lot that was messy about that stuff. But it's like, it is the most furry thing ever in a way that people don't get when they think it's just about cartoon animals fucking or whatever on Twitter, and that's like why they react weird to these things. I'm like, I mean, at least hate me for being communist or something, because like this stuff is the most accurate thing. Like you told me not to go to your synthesizer panel because it was double booked with Jonathan Ver Duncan's, and it was like it was them and Sasha, and they have this show, they have this thing where they talk about organizing in the furry fandom. Like, and it is
real organization.
Yes. And it's like they give the best talks at every convention. It's like, this was genuinely not organizing like organizing conventions or whatever. No, it was like leftist organizing, like support networks and
super
mutual
important.
aid, and like surviving in the Trump administration and building community with local people and doing actual proper leftist work, not fake bullshit Democrat stuff, but like actual leftism with like actual community support and like all those ideals. And that's insane. And that is a full panel every time. Like, so many people show up to watch Jonathan Ver Duncan's panels, and it's like you get drawn in by the fact that they do great art and have that big stall at the dealer's den, and they're very good at that stuff. I have a Jonathan Ver Duncan piece right behind me with the big bunny over there. Get.
Oh, nice.
It's cursed little. Look at that bunny with the feet.
Oh yeah.
Insane art.
I see those feet.
Yep. Oh my god, don't. This is the tiniest, shittiest camera. But like, those panels are completely full, and they're really interesting. And it's like that's happening at a furry convention. It's like people are turning out for that, and it's like it's the most relatable thing in the world when you were like, no, you got to go to the Jonathan Ver Duncan panel. And I'm like, I know. Yeah. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that people don't get about this stuff. It's a lot of like, it's why it's like I'm like I gotta figure out the shape of that video where I talk about furries as like an actual like cultural movement, because it's one of the most misunderstood groups of people maybe ever.
I think so. Yeah.
And it's like
the funny thing is
fringe
like
stuff is just like titty and stuff. Like, that's all you get.
Everything about, I'm going to be honest, I think it's complicated because everything that people think about furries that don't know them is actually true. Like, it's there. It's part of the fandom. Like, it absolutely is there.
They just don't fully process why it's important and why it forms that way.
And why would they? Like, like that's the other thing is like, and this goes into that last question that I wanted to talk about. It's like, it's still niche. Like, that's the thing. It's like all of this like, you know, support that we've gotten, the size of FWA, over almost 18,000 people doing this. The fact that there was like, you know, a very popular panel there about like organizing, leftist organizing under, you know, this particular situation. Like, all of this is true, but at the same time, it's like, it's still niche to most people. Most people do not wake up in the morning and log into Telegram with their little like furry avatar and be like, good morning, here's a sticker or whatever. Like, it's become very, very integrated into our lives. And I think that can bubble us in a way that makes it hard to relate to people who literally do not think about this at all. Like, it is not part of their lives whatsoever. And so while, to me, using the avatar and stuff like that in my videos has been a really great way to connect to people who I talk to every day and who, as a concept, I engage with every day. Like, my Blue Sky feed is like 99% furry stuff at this point. And I think most people's are like that I talk to. I have lost sight to an extent by doing this of the people for whom this is absolutely nothing. Like, this is at the very best for them. It's like they know the word and maybe they saw a CSI episode about it. At the worst, is people who are like vehemently not interested in that and sort of anti-furry or whatever. And then there are the people who just like they literally have no idea what the fuck is going on. Yeah. There's different ways that people can that people will engage with this stuff that I think that, and here's my sort of concern about what's going on, is that like, by deciding I'm going to be more engaged with the furry fandom through the media that I make and my presentation, I have indeed created a sort of like possible ostracization to those who like just don't get it. You know, maybe they're not like maybe they don't hate it. Maybe they're not like anti-furry and are going to call me a pedophile, but it isn't what they like signed up for, I guess. Now, that said, I think the saddest thing that I could possibly do would be like stop doing this, right? To stop engaging with this in that way. That would make me sad, and I feel like it would be like a betrayal of it would sort of be a betrayal of a certain ideal that I want to inhabit.
Because you're taking your
So I do not
self-expression
plan
and going back to hiding part of it again.
hiding part of it and betraying like a community that I think has a great potential to like act like really help people. Like I think like the more that things go to shit in America and other places too, the more that these communities really have an opportunity to help people organize and support each other. It's one of the reasons that today I was like so frustrated with people who were saying that we have to get off Telegram now because there's a new AI bot, that Grok is getting put in there that you can use if you want to. People are like, oh, Telegram's dead. Like, y'all, Telegram has been a fucking like shit show for its inception. Like the stuff that's on Telegram outside of your sticker bubble, like with your furry chats, is vile. It's so fucked up. So like, this is not the final straw in this community platform. I don't really want to see the communities that we've developed on that platform disintegrate because of this. I wish that
it's because whether they realize it or not, it's a massive network of queer people that actually do have a support network, essentially, which they made kind of by accident because of the weird funny animals and everything. But there are so many self-selection filters in the process of getting invested in furry that it becomes a thing where it's like people really struggle to square this. Like, no, furry fandom's not like, it's not queer because it's just funny animals. But it's like, yeah, but the process of engaging with it involves so many steps that you would filter people out, that you exclusively end up with gay, trans, pan, etc. people, LGBT people, some really cool
neurodivergent people,
yeah,
like
a lot of neurodivergent people, and then like really cool cis straight allies, and then like 5% really contrarian assholes that act like that's all weird, and that's like the burned furs and all of their derivatives ever since. The people that want to like remove the queens from the fandom and want to like delete all the sex stuff and fix it somehow,
we'll be the good ones.
And it's like, yeah, people struggle to realize the fact that like whether it makes sense or not, the specific form the fandom has taken has been a community that became a queer community. And these like these networks, these conventions, these Telegram groups and so on are a level of queer networking that doesn't largely exist in the modern world in any other like form in many cases. And like it's a level of security and community people desperately need.
But like, yeah, I can't think of something that combines the things that you've mentioned in the way that this community does. The closest I could come up with would be like the Radical Fairies, or like some of the like sort of queer hippie groups that I engage with in like the Bay Area. Like that is probably the closest I've seen to this kind of thing. But unfortunately, all those people are still human beings, and I don't know. I like it when people have muzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really know. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
yeah, it's like I don't want to put it away. I don't want to put it back, and it would be really rough. The people that did find value in this to then like look at it and be like, oh, he put it all away. His channel's gray again, and it's like all the color's gone, like that sadness. But it's also like I don't know, even on a micro level, it's like if you're a YouTuber and you have any kind of community, there's like that little touch of like, oh, some people met each other in your Discord or whatever, like the curiosity of like a World of Warcraft wedding. But like, since being a furry, I have become like a lightning rod of community for people, even without my direct involvement. Just the fact that I exist and there's a community next to me in a Discord that I cannot interface with my brain. Like I cannot handle it most of the time. Like people have made networks. I've seen entire vacations with group photos of people that are all like know each other now and travel across the country or even internationally to all hang out with each other, that met each other through my stuff. And it's like, and yeah, it's more furry stuff. It's more queer people. It's more like that's specifically is like, I can't really go back on that stuff because like that is a level of impact that I don't want to stop having.
And that is not reflected in YouTube
numbers.
Views.
No.
Like those that and this was something that I'm glad you brought it up, because there is things that happen that you do not see that are not reflected in the success of a YouTube video. Like
Mm-hmm.
there is a cumulative effect of community, or can be a cumulative effect of community around these things. And Discord's a great example of that, because the same things happen in my Discord, or the same thing conceptually has happened in my Discord, where people have a community now, and that they will meet up at places and stuff like that occurred around this thing. That is worth so this sounds so like I'm coping here, but that's worth more to me than YouTube views. Like if and let's be clear, if a video gets 7,000 views and 20 of those people end up in a Discord together and then like meet up and like do something together, that's worth so much more than 1 million YouTube views on a video where nobody ever fucking like does any of that, right? Like I think, to me, like real world translation of these things of some kind is incredibly important and worth a lot. It's like a, what do they call it? Like when you converting, when you convert like a click to a buy, or so, something like that. Like I don't know what the fucking I think it's conversion. But this is a type of conversion
it's like when you turn a view into a click and so on, or a click into a buy. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a filtering process that just naturally happens where you make something, you getting someone to click and watch it is the first filter. And then from there, any kind of like call to action that is implied or explicitly stated is another level of filtering that may or may not happen. Will someone comment? Will someone like the video? Will someone join your Patreon? Will they join your Discord? Like, and then will they continue to support you and engage with your community over some period of time? Will a relationship be born from that? And yeah, it's tough to make that happen. But if you do have that, and it's sustaining you as best it can be, like if it's sustaining you, then I think that it's worth continuing to engage with the process that led to that.
Mm-hmm. And I think on some level we're both kind of in the same camp of like, we want to both just keep making the thing we like to make and what brought us here in the first place, and it's what people clicked for in the first place and why we have an audience. But we also don't want the furry to go away, because that's part of it. And like that's so it's like my philosophy going forward is basically just like, for as long as possible, both on the Let's Play channel and the Answer channel, just keep trying to make the content I want to make and that I think is meaningful. And then I just figure out how to trick people into watching it. Just I will play the thumbnail game afterwards and figure out how to like package it, because that's the game or whatever. But I'm like, I'm gonna make the thing that's meaningful to me and just figure out how to square.
It sounds
that.
like and it sounds like maybe a little bit more of those like this is what happens at a furry convention kind of videos. If you can do those kinds of things, those are going to lend themselves very well to that type of manipulation, but experimentation, I guess. Like it's harder to clickbait a game, like unless it's like you're reacting to Fortnite like victories or something like that. It's hard to clickbait a Let's Play and make every single one some kind of sensationalized like thing. Like, you won't believe what happened in Elden Ring. It's like, no, I have some pretty good guesses.
Now we're not cool anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the best you can do, honestly. Yeah. And I'm gonna do the same. My night of the 12 knives, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, my dark night of the soul in terms of my relationship with YouTube really peaked last year. And that may be part of the reason, again, like you said, like that I kind of like have decided to just say fuck it and
you
full
made the
send
video
into
where you
something
were the
else.
moon and stuff, and you were like kind of processing where you
which
are.
Which was a video that I've been like a replay of a scenario in a video, which I've done before. I was told by both people, that was your best video ever. Great, thanks for telling me that.
People do just like it when you just talk for a while, basically. That's like
they do
the format break. That's what this is ultimately. It's like a break from the Let's Plays where I just chat with someone.
Is this something going up on your YouTube channel?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Give it the most clickbait fucking thing
Exactly.
you possibly can.
I'm going to
Make a
render it
pog
and
face.
upload it literally today, and I'm going to like come
Yeah.
up with like what's the most clickbait branding thing I can come up with for this video while it's rendering. and so I hope you guys hope you liked it, chat.
Leaving the furry fandom forever? And then put like something like a scandalous looking you know, half naked furry on there, but like with like a cross through it or something.
Yeah,
like
it's me
just make
behind
it really,
bars
really
or
silly.
something.
Yeah, there we go.
But no, we're a bit over
Good.
time, so I got to let you go. But thank you so much for coming,
Yeah,
Jeremy. And if you want to check out
my
Redmean's recording, please go subscribe, and you can see his upcoming video where he performs. It's his adaptation basically of the DJ set that you performed at FWA, which was a great performance. I hung out for the whole duration of it, and specifically I wasn't bored because like I really don't like furry DJ sets that much usually. It's not. It's there was a lot of variety because you're going through a bunch of different musicians in general, and it's also just like I could see you being really into it up on stage. Yeah, it was a great show.
So it's all fandom music that was remixed. Thanks. I'm very excited about getting it out, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to chat again in some upcoming thing.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you. I'd love to have you again.
You take care of yourself, buddy, and thank everybody for watching.
Yep. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.